I am passionately fond of the night. I love it in the way men love their country or their mistress, with a love that is instinctive, profound, indestructible. I love it with every one of my senses, with my eyes which see it, with my sense of smell which breathes it in, with my ears which listen to its silence, with the whole of my body which feels the gentle caress of its darkness. The larks sing in the sunlight, in the blue sky, in the warm, light air of bright mornings. The owl wings through the night, a dark blotch amidst the blackness of space, and rejoicing in the black, exhilarating immensity, he utters his sinister, tremulous cry. I am tired and bored by the daylight. It is brutal and noisy. I get up reluctantly, get dressed languidly, go out regretfully, and every movement, every gesture, every word, every thought wearies me as though I were lifting some great heavy load. But when the sun goes down, a strange joy fills my whole being. I wake up. I come alive. As the darkness increases, I feel a different sort of person, younger, stronger, livelier, happier. I watch them intensifying, these gentle shades of night falling from the sky. Watch them drowning the city like some impenetrable, intangible wave, concealing, removing, destroying all colors and shapes, enfolding people, houses, great buildings in their imperceptible embrace. Then I feel like shrieking with delight, like the screech owls, feel like running along the rooftops, like the cats, and an urgent, irresistible desire for love courses through my veins. I walk on and on, sometimes through the darkened Paris suburbs, sometimes through the neighboring woods, where I can hear the prowling footsteps of my fellow creatures, the nocturnal animals, and the poachers. The thing that you love with a violent passion always kills you in the end. But how can I explain what it is that comes over me? How can I even make myself understood so that I can tell the story? I don't know. I simply don't know. All I know is that it's there. Well, at any rate, yesterday. Or was it yesterday? Yes, surely it was. Unless it happened earlier, some other day, some other month, some other year, I don't really know. Yet it must have been yesterday, because there's been no dawn since it happened. There's been no sunrise. But how long has this night lasted? How long? Who can tell? Who will ever know? Well, yesterday, then. I went out after dinner, as I do every evening. It was fine, very mild, warm, in fact. As I walked down towards the main boulevards, I looked up at the black, star-spangled river overhead, flowing along between the rooftops, which seemed to curve and make this rolling stream of stars undulate like an actual river. Everything shone brightly in the clear air, everything from the planets in the sky to the gas lamps on earth. So many lights were burning up there and in the city that the very darkness seemed to be luminous. Bright nights like this are much more delightful than days of bright sunshine. Along the boulevards, the cafes were ablaze with light. People were laughing, moving about, sitting drinking. I went into a theater for a short while. Which theater was it? I can't remember. It was so brightly lit in there that it depressed me, and I came out again with my heart saddened by the harsh glare of light on the gilded balcony, by the artificial glitter of the great crystal chandelier, by the brilliance of the footlights, by the general melancholy effect of this false, crude light. I walked to the Champs-Élysées, where the open-air cafes looked like blazing hearths among the foliage. The chestnut trees, touched with yellow light, gave the impression of having been painted, and looked quite phosphorescent. And the electric light globes, pale yet dazzling moons, moon eggs fallen from heaven, living monster pearls, made the thin flames of ugly, dirty gaslight with their garlands of colored glass pale into significance beneath their mother-of-pearl radiance, mysterious and regal. I stopped under the Arc de Triomphe and looked down the Champs-Élysées, the wonderful, long, starlit avenue going down the center of Paris between two rows of lights, and with the stars overhead, those unknown stars, scattered at random in the immensity of space where they form those strange constellations, the source of so much dreaming and philosophizing. I went into the Bois de Boulogne, and walked in there for a long, long time. I experienced a most peculiar sensation, an unexpected and overpowering thrill, a kind of exultation which seemed like the fringe of madness. I walked about for a long, long time. Then I came back towards the city. What time would it be when I passed under the Arc de Triomphe again? I don't really know. The city was now asleep, and clouds, great black clouds, were slowly spreading across the sky. For the first time I felt that I was about to witness something strange, something new. It seemed to be getting cold, and the air seemed somehow denser. I felt as though the night, my beloved night, was weighing heavily upon my heart. The avenue was deserted now. There were just 2 policemen, all alone, walking near the cab stand. A row of carts laden with vegetables was on its way to the central markets, going along the roadway which was dimly lit by the dying flames of gas lamps. The carts were moving along slowly, piled high with carrots, turnips, and cabbages. The drivers were asleep, hidden from view, and the horses were walking at a steady pace, following the carts in front of them, making no noise on the wooden paving blocks. As they passed each lamp at the edge of the pavement, the carrots showed up red under the light, the turnips white, the cabbages green. As they passed along, one after the other, these carts of fiery red, silvery white, and emerald green, I followed them. Then I turned into the Rue Royale and got back to the boulevards. There was nobody about now, no brightly lit cafes, just 1 or 2 people who had stayed out late and were hurrying back home. I had never seen Paris so dead and deserted. I took out my watch. It was 2 o'clock in the morning. Some kind of force was urging me on, compelling me to continue walking. So I continued as far as the Place de la Bastille. It was there that it occurred to me that I had never experienced a night as black as this. I couldn't even see the Colonne de Juillet, and the little golden god on top was lost in impenetrable darkness. A covering of cloud, infinitely thick, had blanketed out the stars, and now seemed to be descending to annihilate the earth. I retraced my steps. There was not a soul to be seen, except that when I got to the Place du Château d'Eau, a drunk nearly bumped into me, and then he too disappeared into the night. For some time I could hear his unsteady steps echoing through the darkness. I walked on. When I drew level with the Faubourg Montmartre, a cab went past, going down towards the Seine. I shouted after it. The driver made no reply. There was a prostitute hanging about near the Rue Drouot. "Hey, monsieur," she called. "Wait a minute." I quickened my pace to avoid her outstretched hand. After that there was nothing. In front of the Vaudeville Theatre, a rag-and-bone man was picking about in the gutter. His little lantern was swinging to and fro close to the ground. I asked him, "What time is it, old chap?" He muttered, "How should I know? I haven't got a watch." Then I suddenly realized that all the gas lamps had gone out. I know they turn them off early at this time of year for the sake of economy, but they do it towards dawn, and dawn was still very far away. "Come on," I said to myself. "Let's go to Les Halles. At least there'll be some life down in the markets." I set off, but I couldn't even see to find my way. I moved forward very slowly, as you do in the middle of a wood, recognizing the streets by counting them as I went. In front of the Crédit Lyonnais Bank, a dog growled at me. I turned down the Rue de Grammont, but then I got lost. I wandered about for a while, and then I realized that I had reached the stock exchange, because I recognized the iron railings which surround it. The whole of Paris was asleep, lost in a deep, terrifying slumber. But in the distance I heard a solitary cab rumbling along, probably the cab that had passed me not long before. I tried to reach it, going in the direction of the sound made by its wheels, feeling my way along lonely streets as dark as death. I was lost again. Where was I? How idiotic to put the gas lamps out so early. There was not a single passer-by, not a single person going home late, not a single suspicious character roaming the streets, not even the mewing of an amorous cat, nothing at all. Where on earth were the police? I thought, I'll call out. Surely a policeman will come and help me. I called out. Nobody answered. I called out even louder. My voice was lost in the darkness, weak, muffled, without any echo, as though stifled by the night, the impenetrable night. I yelled out, "Help! Help! Help!" My cry of despair remained unanswered. What time could it be, then? I pulled out my watch, but I had no matches with me, so I could not see it. With a strange and unfamiliar pleasure, I listened to the faint ticking of this little piece of mechanism. It seemed like something alive. I felt less lonely now. How strange. I set off again, groping my way like a blind man, tapping along the walls with my walking stick, and every now and then I would look up at the sky, hoping to see some glimmer of dawn. But the heavens were black, intensely black, even blacker than the city. What could the time be? I seemed to have been walking for ages. My legs were ready to give way under me. I was short of breath, and aching with the pangs of a terrible hunger. I decided that I would ring the first doorbell I came to. I pulled the brass handle, and the ringing of the bell echoed through the house. It was a strange kind of ring, as though this quivering sound were the only thing alive in the house. I waited, but there was no answer. Nobody opened the door. I rang once again, and waited again. Nothing. I became frightened. I ran to the house next door, and 20 times in quick succession I rang the bell in the darkened entrance hall, where the concierge would be sleeping. But he did not wake up. And I went on and on down the street, pulling the bells as hard as I could, banging with my hands and feet and my stick on these doors which remained so obstinately closed. Then I suddenly realized that I had reached Les Halles. The great market was deserted. Not a sound, not a movement, not a cart, not a human being, not a bundle of vegetables or a bunch of flowers. The place was empty, petrified, abandoned, dead. A horrible feeling of terror came over me. What was happening? Oh, my God, what was happening? I set off again. But what time was it? What time was it? Who would tell me the time? Not a single clock had struck in any of the churches or public buildings. I thought, I know. I'll open the front of my watch and feel the position of the hands with my fingers. I pulled out my watch. It wasn't ticking any more. It had stopped. Nothing now. Nothing. Not a ripple of movement in the city. Not a single gleam of light. Not the slightest rustle of sound. Nothing. Nothing any more. Not even the distant rumbling of the cab. Nothing. I had reached the quayside, and I could feel the chilly damp rising from the river. Was the Seine still flowing? I had to know. I found the steps and went down. But I couldn't hear the water rushing under the bridge. A few more steps. Then there was sand, then mud, then water. I thrust my arm into it. Yes, it was flowing, flowing. Cold, 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 almost frozen, almost dried up, almost dead. And I knew only too well that I should never have the strength to get back up again. That I, too, was going to die there, of hunger, fatigue, and cold.